Hi everyone, my name is Heidi Wonsu, and I'm pleased to present to you Welcome to My Crib, a C3 TV task. So the main objective of this task is that it is focusing on sustainability, and we're going to focus on reducing carbon footprint as it pertains to building a house. So this is your challenge. You are the lead designer of a C3 House Flip Incorporated. You, alongside your team of engineers and architects, have been requested by a mysterious client who goes by the name of ET to design a house that runs solely on green energy. This is put in bold, so make sure you remember that. Provided to you is an instruction manual to build machines and furniture by scratch. A list of items you can buy, including their cost, and some calculation templates, and the client's request form, which I'm going to show in the next slide, will be provided to you. Follow the client's request to design their house of their dreams. Make sure that you can please ET as much as you possibly can. So that means follow the instructions to a T, but also keep in mind that you can be creative with this task, but it's important that you take every prompt that we provide you. So this is ET. He is here because of sustainability, and he needs your help to create a beautiful, cost-efficient home. So this is his client request form. I'm not going to read the entire form because this slide would be, or these slides will be provided to you, but this is essentially going to be outlining exactly what he's looking for in his house. So for example, he doesn't have a lot of money. He has only $10,000, but he only wants to spend $8,000. So you have to budget all of your materials within a $8,000 range. He knows a special wholesaler, who is willing to sell materials and resources at a discounted rate. So we also provided you all of the materials and their prices for you within your challenge package for you to reference. A little bit more about himself. He loves the colors white, blue, and orange. He loves to swim and loves big windows. He would love to be surrounded by water since my home planet has a lot of waterfalls and oceans. He loves to dance and sing and lives with 2 dogs. So as from his species, he loves farming, but personally, I don't enjoy it. This is very important. He's telling you exactly where he wants to live and giving you clues as to where he wants you to build his house. So this is his location. This is kind of where he wants to be. So I put a hint on the bottom there for you to take this into consideration when you're building his home, and to take into consideration the materials that you have available to you to make it as sustainable as possible. So this is the rules. Within your challenge, your house design must be within 232 to 325 square meters. You must be able to power at least 15,000 watts of energy within the energy sources of your home. There's no bargaining allowed. So whatever the price is on the materials list is what you have to use. The cost of the items cannot be changed. You may only use the materials that are listed, and gather all of your materials and put them in template provided. And here is the link down here for the material sheet and the fill-in template for your convenience. And also, like I mentioned before, we're going to be calculating carbon footprint. So to calculate the floor area as well as the carbon footprint, there is 2 links here for you to reference. The second part of this challenge is to submit a presentation video explaining why you chose certain resources. So why is underlined, so be sure to clearly state why you chose certain resources. The size of your carbon footprint is important for you to reference, the cost of your entire project, a 3D version of your home, and discuss ways where you can reduce your own carbon footprint in your own home. So we want you to take this information from this challenge and apply it to your own lives. So these are the materials for you to hand in. You're going to be submitting a presentation video that is only allowed to be 2 minutes at the maximum. And actually in the left side of this chart or of this table, it's actually going to give you the rationale the correspondings with the rubric. So every one of these materials that you're going to hand in, this is where you're going to be marked in the rubric. So for the presentation video, you'll be marked on your rationale. Your carbon footprint calculation is going to be carbon footprint and client consideration. Your floor plan calculation, your budget calculation, and your electrical calculation, your wattage calculation will be also marked on the carbon footprint and client consideration section of the rubric. And finally, your home styler link or your home styler floor plan, as well as your image, is going to be on the design. So I also included here the steps for you to save your project on Homestyler, which is actually going to be the application that you're going to be using to design your home, which I actually alluded to in the previous slides. So you have to press File, share this project, and then make it public in order for you to save it. Again, if you have any questions, please direct any questions to the email that we have listed at the bottom or at the end of this slide, as well as on challenge day. There are going to be TAs for you to ask questions directly. So as I just mentioned, this is the Homestyler website. So this is what it looks like. You're going to click this link here. And then you're going to actually just follow the prompts and design your own home. It's really easy. It's super fun. There's a lot of cool things you can do with this website. We want you to be as creative as possible. So again, like I mentioned, to save and share your Homestyler design with us, follow this scheme. So you press File, share this project, and make it public. Scoring. So each category will be marked out of 5. However, Rationale is worth double the points. So there's a total point number of 30, and the categories include client consideration. So have you stayed within the budget of the client? Are you building the house based on their interests and preferences? Is the floor plan of the home within the allotted designation? And can the energy source power 15,000 watts? Next category is the carbon footprint calculation. So as per the client, remember to make the carbon footprint as small as you can. So make sure your calculations are correct. So check them over a couple times and be sure to keep referencing the cost of the materials as it relates to your carbon footprint. The next category is the rationale. So have you considered the pros and cons of your design? What made you choose the green energy that you chose, and then discuss what you chose to meet the client's needs. So remember the cost, the carbon footprint, and the design. We have alluded to many different hints for you in this task, and as well as in this PowerPoint. So every time I mention, remember this, try to keep that in mind as you're designing your home. The next category is the calculations. So are the calculations for the cost of the home plan accurate and feasible? Are the calculations for the floor plan accurate? And are the calculations for the wattage of the home accurate as well? So that's just like making sure that you're actually doing it correctly. And lastly, the design and creativity. So is the power source too bulky, or does it take too much space? Or is it cohesive with the rest of the house, or do different parts of the house look well together? So those are all of the considerations you're going to take into account when you hand in your house design and your video to try to match your rationale to each of these questions that I have just outlined for you. So remember, this is the big concept. So remember to consider the price of all materials used, and be sure to calculate your carbon footprint as you go along. So this is just a reminder to keep in mind as you go through the task. So now we're actually going to dive into some background information. So we're going to talk about biomass energy, renewable green energy, solar energy, wind energy, hydroelectric energy, and tidal energy, and lastly, geothermal energy. So biomass energy is the conversion of plant materials into electricity. So it is produced when organic matter decomposes in areas low in oxygen, so that's where the O2 stands for, or it burns, thus producing methane or CH4. Next is renewable green energy. So renewable green energy is endless energy. So it's energy that can be reused in a cycle. So the energy won't have a huge impact on the environment in a negative way, but will more so be a positive contribution as we are continuously using the same energy, but just reusing it in different ways. So we're not actually wasting any energy, which is really, really cool. Next is solar energy. So energy that comes directly from the sun, most effective during times where sunlight is present for long periods of time. So this is a clue here for you. So I remember I showed you a map of where ET wants to live. If you remember, the map is in an area where there may or may not be enough sunlight to actually utilize this energy. So try to keep that in mind when you are designing your home, is to take into this, take into consideration where he actually wants to live, and that will give you clues as to what kind of energy will be best suited for his home. Next is wind energy. So wind energy is energy that is powered by the movement of wind. So normally you're using wind turbines, a three-blade wind turbines, and the wind energy requires, wind energy is normally required in large farms to generate enough electricity. Next is hydroelectric energy or tidal energy, and this is energy that is caused by flowing water. So the farther the water falls, the more narrow the water path, and the greater the energy output. Okay, so next is geothermal energy. And geothermal energy is produced when using the natural heat below the earth. So generally it's limited, but to help, you can think of places where the hot springs are found. So think of like a geyser. So if all that hot energy is kind of underneath the earth and it kind of shoots up, and that would be an example of geothermal energy, and it's not available everywhere, as I just mentioned. So this is a definition of a carbon footprint. So a carbon footprint describes the amount of greenhouse gases produced during our daily lives or life. Many things, including driving a car, water use, and energy in our own homes, contributes to our carbon footprint. So the larger the carbon footprint, the worse it is for the environment. So every day, we have programs and systems put in place in our schools and homes, and institutions where we're trying to reduce our carbon footprint. One common example is recycling. That can be an example of reducing your carbon footprint. So we really want you to understand the impact of your own contribution, really, to everything regarding to energy use and water use, and gas and the emission of greenhouse gases. We want you to try to learn all of those things as you work through this task, and we also want you to take a look at this link here, where you can actually learn about your own carbon footprint, which will help toward your video when you are giving us ideas about how you can reduce your own carbon footprint at home. All right, and that brings us to the end of this video. The two designers, as I mentioned, is myself, so I'm Heidi Wonsu, and my partner Amy. We have listed our emails there for you, and you can contact us if you have any questions. I also mentioned previously that there are TAs for you to ask questions as well during challenge weekend. Again, just feel free to ask any questions. We want to help you out. We really hope you have fun with this task, and you have 48 hours to start this task now. Good luck.